today we're delving into the world of life insurance. And we have a very special guest with us today who's going to help facilitate this conversation. And her name is Elise. Miss Elise, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Elise Siharath.
So tell us a little bit about what you do.
I deal on educating Asian community for their life insurance.
And for the people out there who are not familiar with life insurance, and sometimes, when we hear life insurance, we think, oh my God, I'm going to die. They want me to die. They're only going to pay out after I die. So it's all about dying. But my understanding, talking to you, that is not always the case. And there's something that you do that is a little more unique about that. So can you just shed some light for us on what you do that is more unique, that it's not just all about the death benefit?
Our life insurance policy, it actually comes with the living benefit. So you don't have to, pass away to receive the money. While you're alive, if you get sick, you can use that money. It works similar like a disability. So it depends on how severe your sickness is or was. And then usually they do require the doctor note from the doctor to say what type of sickness that you have. So this is the thing that we have to educate some of the Asian community or Asian people here in Charlotte, and that's what I try to educate them on.
So for those of you who were trying to figure out why Miss Elise says Asian community, her background is Asian. She is this really lovely lady sitting to my left right now. And so when she talks about the Asian community, that is part of the reason for it. But I want to piggyback a little bit and just say, within other communities within the United States, there have also been some resistance when it comes to life insurance. And that comes from a little bit of miseducation. And like she just said, especially I find within the African American or Black community, when you start talking about life insurance, people automatically think, you want me to die? Why are you preparing for my death? Right? Do you come across something similar?
Definitely, usually the older generation. So I have to tell them, no, this is not about death. And sometimes they will argue, so you just want me to die so you can have money. No. It takes a while for them to get used to it, but you have to kind of break it down, the components, say, no, this is for you. While you're living, you can still use it, not just when you die. So it's not just to protect your family, it's also protecting you as well. That's what the living benefit is for.
And that's a very good point. So when you hear life insurance, it's not just about your family. Yes, you want to make sure your family is protected after you pass, but also it can work as a savings account for when you're alive. So if you fall ill, right, you have that safety net knowing that you have income that could come through that life insurance policy. So continuing the conversation about the living benefits. What are some of the uses? So when we say living benefits, people out there might be thinking, okay, well, I get the gist, but I don't know what that's for. So what are some of the uses of the living benefit?
Well, if you were diagnosed with terminal illness, that means you have about 2 years to live or 6 months. It depends. You can take the money out earlier before you pass away and decide what you want to do with that money. Or sometimes if you have a chronic illness, and you can't go to work for a couple months, you can also take that money out and use it to pay your water bill, your mortgage, whatever you want to do, that money is yours. So you make that decision. They don't tell you what to do with your money.
So you can use it as some supplementary income when you have nothing coming in. Now, there's something called live too long. What does that mean, Elise?
That means it's a permanent life insurance. So if you plan it correctly, you can have cash in there. Some company will offer you what they call the cap. That means you can have up to about 9.5 or 10% interest of the money that you put into the life insurance policy. So that is more of the long-term plan.
Okay, so for something like this, you're putting money towards your policy, but it doesn't just go towards life insurance. It acts as a savings account too, right? With an interest rate that works for you as you put money in.
That is correct. So you can use it, and it's also considered a tax defer. So as long you keep the money in there and you don't spend it, it's a compound interest. So that cash actually in your favor. It won't go against you.
So I understand part of the beauty of this product is if anyone out there has a 401k or a brokerage account and you invest in the stock market, there's a little bit of a difference here because while the stock market will fluctuate, this account guarantees you a certain amount of return. Elise, am I saying this right?
That is correct. Usually the guarantee is about 2%. So if an S&P 500 doesn't do well, let's say it's negative, you won't get you only get 2%. That's the minimum. That is a guarantee account. So if the S&P 500 is doing more than 10%, you only capture at 10%. So your interest can get be at 10%. So the difference, let's say they do it 15%, so the 5% will belong to the insurance company.
So what I'm hearing for those of us who are not insurance savvy is that this can be a safer bet than investing in the stock market because you're guaranteed a return, right? That is what I'm hearing.
That is correct. It's a safe investment.
Beautiful. So we talk a little bit about the Asian community and how there's some misinformation about life insurance as a whole. But what are some of the things you hear people say when you start talking to them about life insurance? Other than, well, you want me to die, but what are some of the excuses that you hear?
Well, they would say, example, like the man would say, oh, no, I don't want my wife to have my money. And I have to explain, really? What if you're sick? Who's going to take care of you? You're the person who make the money for her, so she has to take care of you. So where you think the money's coming from? You worry about she's going to spend money on somebody else?
That's a legitimate worry.
It is. You have to bring him back to the reality.
So guys, it's a good thing. Life insurance is a good thing. You want your wife to be, taken care of when you're passing. If you're that type of guy who has a strong sense of responsibility for your family, believe it or not, she having money means that she's not going to go out and get somebody else because she can afford to take care of herself by herself, right?
That is correct. And her children, and you too.
So, the show is called Growing Communities, and I always like to tie back on how what we do impacts our communities. And you really touch communities with what you do.
Yes, I try to educate the older generation and the young generation.
Right. And how do you see the younger generation, taking the information that's being given to them?
They don't think it's important because the way they look at it, they feel like they're going to live forever. So they think they're going to remain healthy. So here I am saying, no, plan it out now because it's reasonable if you get while you're still healthy. So that way, you don't have to pay so much for life insurance when you hit our age in your, late 40 or 50. Because if you do it in your 20 and 30, it's a lot affordable. You can afford more better than people in the 40 and 50. So the older you get, of course, it's going to cost more.
So young people, you need life insurance too, and this is the best time to get it because your premiums, your rates are going to be a lot cheaper. So now that we touched on the young generation, Elise, what kind of advice can we give to the older generation?
Usually, if you're thinking about getting the life insurance policy, the older generation in your 40 and 50, you do have to fund more than the younger generation because you want to put more money into that policy so the cash value that was offered to you can grow a lot faster.
Awesome. So I also find that when I talk to people, because I talk to a lot of business owners, and when I talk to them and you talk about life insurance, the ones that are not fully educated have such a negative feel about it because they feel like somebody's going to sell them something. I know that's not your approach, but just tell us a little bit about your approach. It's not the car salesman.
Right. I usually don't talk about sale. I usually talk about the product itself and explain how the products work. And I let them make that decision. Do they want the permanent or do they want the term life?
So you're more educating. You're not selling.
No, yes, that's correct. I'm more educating.
Okay. So kind of like what we're doing here today, providing information for someone to mull over a little bit, and then they determine, is this going to be a right fit for me? Now, we talked about some permanent life insurance earlier in the show, and you just mentioned term life. What is term life? What is the difference?
Term life is you have an option. You can pick renew once a year, or you can do 5, 10, 15, 20, or 30 years. It's up to you.
Okay.
But usually most company will cover you up until you age 70.
Okay. So for your term life, it's true insurance. You still get your living benefit, but it doesn't act as the savings account where a permanent life would. Am I getting that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So one of the things that you do is free education classes. Can you give us a little information about that?
Yes, usually we'll help some of the younger generation and the older generation, especially for the Asian community. So I usually come in and explain it to them what happened to their money when they're purchasing the policy in term life and the permanent life. And then I have to break it down component by component to let them understand why this is so important for them to get the life insurance.
Okay. So if somebody wants to attend a free education class, and let's say they're not in Charlotte, how can they come across doing that with you?
We do through webinar, and I also send them the link and the video and also some information. Usually it depends which is easier for them. Sometimes, like for Asian people, we do have in different languages.
Oh, that's perfect. That's great. Okay, so if you're not in the Charlotte area, that doesn't exclude you. And if you're in the Charlotte area, I mean, yes, you have the option to do a Zoom call, but I think you might want to meet in person, right?
That is correct. Yes, we do have class, and then we can train you in person.
Great. So how about, we get a little understanding about life insurance, some of the benefits of it, but how about people who are hearing this and they say, how can I do what you do?
Just reach out to me, and then I will make sure that I can help you.
I couldn't say that better myself. That's awesome. Miss Elise, this show is called Growing Communities. Tell us how life insurance and what you do impacts the stabilization and the growth of the community.
I have experienced that now. People actually reach out to me more when they need help with even the funeral home, even go to the hospital. They say, "Can you help me?" Because it brings the closeness, and they start sharing their problem with me on the medical or for finance, and they get comfortable. Okay. So it's a lot of trust. So the relationship for me with the community is a lot more positive.
Okay. So sometimes when we talk about growing communities, and we talk about businesses, we always think about, successful businesses and the money circling in the community. That's a unique perspective that you just shared with us, which is not monetary in nature, but it's more relationship-based, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So stabilizing communities comes in all different forms, right? And that's just one form and that's one of the reasons, and a thought just occurred to me, that's one of the reasons that I love having conversations with such a diverse group of people, because everybody has a different take on something, right? Okay. For anyone who's looking to get a little bit more information about the education piece, either looking for an opportunity or just looking to talk to you about life insurance, how can they get in contact with you?
They can call the 800 number.
And that number is 877-648-8723, extension 704.
That's correct. Thank you.
All right. So call 877-648-8723, extension 704, and get a little bit more information about when the next education session is going to be held, or if you just want to connect with Elise and her team to talk about getting a life insurance policy, or maybe educate yourself a little bit more.